Elon Musk offers Wikipedia $1 billion. I only had a double take on this post. I thought for sure this has to be an Elon Musk parody account, but no. He did offer to buy Wikipedia for $1 billion, which just immediately reminded me of Austin Powers. So I had to reference it in this video. Not only that, he offered the $1 billion to rename it to Dickpedia, which I thought was pretty hilarious. I think that maybe they should actually do that. Because $1 billion would help them out, for a long period of time. I'm happy about the fact that I've never donated money to Wikipedia ever. They're not actually well known for accuracy. I know back when I was a college student, I liked Wikipedia because it's quick to find the information that you want, and teachers were always quite critical of it. And I thought that was over the top because Wikipedia was clearly better than the encyclopedia, but that might not be the case anymore. It's faster, but seems to be less accurate. It's like the McDonald's of information. Unfortunately, it's only gotten worse over the past decade or more, with very little improvement at all. I think it's just been a downhill ride for the entire time. And one of the big reasons for that, they don't evaluate their editors based on ability or knowledge. They base their evaluations on clout. That's it. That's not a great way to do something of this nature. This next part is probably even more hilarious than the first part. I didn't get it initially because he wrote, "Please add that to the goat poo emoji on my wiki page," and I was like, what is that supposed to mean? But then I thought about it for a quarter of a second longer and realized he was saying he's the goat of shit talking, or if we're being polite, the goat of poo emojis, maybe. Who knows? And then after that he wrote, "in the interests of accuracy," which is pretty funny. It shows that he might be self-deprecating, to say the least. But then again, it was on a post where he just said that he was going to spend $1 billion on a whim. So don't take it. The timing of Elon Musk's recent complaints was pretty good, since I just wrote an article recently about the failures of Wikipedia and their whitewashing of history. They, a lot of these editors come from the school of the communist Howard Zinn, who wrote A People's History, which is quite a lot of historical fiction. But, and I wrote in there, American culture is under attack, and there is a little bit of truth to that. One of the main aspects of the rise of cultural Marxism is that we are no longer evaluated by our own individual behavior. We are instead evaluated based on our political identity, and that political identity is supposed to determine whether we are good or bad people, and that creates quite a lot of problems in society, and has historically resulted in the total collapse of governments, economies, and so on. So, what else do I have here? So it says, "We should be deeply concerned about the negative influences on American culture. Let's critique and analyze the intellectual roots of cultural Marxism and shed light on how it has contributed to the erosion of fundamental values within our society." It says here, "It's a concept rooted in the works of pseudo-intellectuals like Antonio Gramsci, Michel Foucault, and Herbert Marcuse, people I've covered previously in my Unschool Substack." So you might want to check that out. Some of them are paid posts, so you might want to get the discount here, the 20% off. It definitely benefits me quite a bit when people become paid subscribers. We have a few right now, and I really appreciate those people, but we could always use more. So it says, "Originally referred to the application of Marxist principles to analyze and critique culture and society. The main change from Marxism to postmodernism was the move from class consciousness to racial consciousness and sexual consciousness, and in more recent history, ridiculous things like fat consciousness." It says the term has been appropriated and sometimes distorted to support various political agendas, leading to a range of interpretations. However, it is pretty ridiculous that Wikipedia has tried to rename cultural Marxism as a conspiracy theory, because it's not. It's only been that way on Wikipedia for 10 years or less. So I don't think Wikipedia was as corrupt 15 years ago or so when I was in college. This is really important. This influence over information dissemination, particularly in an era where the digital realm, Google search is the primary source of knowledge for many, has profound implications. It allows for the subtle reshaping of historical events and concepts to align with specific ideological viewpoints, often at the expense of objective truth and diverse perspectives. Right? There's no diversity and inclusion on college campuses if you have a differing political view. They just aren't there for you. The power wielded by these groups within Wikipedia underscores the importance of maintaining the site's commitment to neutrality and factual accuracy, and ensuring that it remains a trustworthy resource for all seeking information. The current definition on Wikipedia says the term cultural Marxism refers to a far-right anti-Semitic. Where did they come with that? There is absolutely nothing to suggest that it's anti-Semitic. You know who the anti-Semitic people are? The ones who are supporting Hamas in their effort to destroy Israel right now. Wow. I mean, they killed more than 1,000 people. And on college campuses across the country, people are siding with these terrorists. So we're going to have to do a video and an article on that soon as well, because I've been collecting a lot of different things from around YouTube and so on. So, which misrepresents the Frankfurt School as being responsible for modern progressive movements, identity politics, and political correctness. The conspiracy theory posits that there is an ongoing and intentional academic and intellectual effort to subvert Western society via a planned culture war that undermines the Christian values of traditional conservatism and seeks to replace them with culturally liberal values. Well, there's a couple ounces of truth in there, actually, but it's not really a conspiracy theory. The Frankfurt School has been one of the most negative influences in academia. A lot of perverts and weirdos in the top 50 most cited sources in the social sciences and humanities, and I recommend you look it up. You can also check other posts on my blog about those issues from a year ago if you go into the post history. But but this is also kind of how Kafka traps work. You make a false accusation that's has like 25% truth in it, and then you lie about the other 75% and claim that it's just a big conspiracy theory, and then try to put the other people on the defensive. And it seems to work sometimes, because when you're in the situation where you have to explain someone else's lie, it usually doesn't make you look very good. So a lot of the time it makes you look worse. But they know that, so they continue to do it. But I don't think we're complaining that much about liberalism, especially not classical liberalism. We're complaining about Marxism, socialism, and communism. And most of the postmodernists decided that Marxism was vulgar, right? But they didn't stray that far from their original beliefs. They just traded, a bit of their analysis, one thing for another, as we mentioned earlier, class consciousness to sexual consciousness. This is a weird definition, given that Marxists and Karl Marx himself have been quite anti-Semitic in their history. On the Jewish question, if you actually read it, I couldn't get through it. I read over 100 pages, and I don't think it was that much longer. I can't remember how long that book is, but it's really anti-Semitic. He says in there some horrible things about Jewish people. So it's unsurprising that people influenced by Marxism and postmodernism would side with Hamas. It's really not surprising at all. Here's the definition of critical theory from the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Critical theory has a narrow and a broad meaning in philosophy and in the history of the social sciences. Critical theory in the narrow sense designates several generations of German philosophers and social theorists in the Western European Marxist tradition known as the Frankfurt School. So it literally says right there that critical theory comes from the Frankfurt School. Anybody who does the smallest amount of research on this topic knows that to be true. It does come from the Frankfurt School of Perverts. That's my little joke there, because there are a lot of weirdos, if you don't believe me. Wikipedia page, cultural Marxism, go figure. The second result is from the Southern Poverty Law Center, which also falsely claims cultural Marxism is an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Fortunately, many realize the SPLC is a scam. As one person put it, The Southern Poverty Law Center is not what it claims to be, not a pure-hearted, clear-headed legal advocate for the vulnerable, but rather an obscenely wealthy marketing scheme. For years, the left-wing interest group has used its hate group list to promote the fiction that violent neo-Nazis and Christian nonprofits peacefully promoting orthodox belief about marriage and sex are indistinguishable. Sometimes it has apologized to public figures it has smeared, and it recently paid out millions to settle a threatened defamation lawsuit. Okay, later on we discuss repressive ideology. This is an effort to repress divergent opinions, right? That's also part of cultural Marxism, is repressive tolerance. It's a ridiculous ideology that basically says only extreme left opinions should be allowed in the institutions, right? That's part of the long march to the institutions. I feel like I'm a broken record saying that all the time, but it's true, and a lot of these individuals on this list here are pushing for those directives. So what liberals don't understand is that these extreme leftists are trying to cancel them as well, not just the right wing. That's part of cultural Marxism, and it's unfortunate that some people are getting fooled and confused about those beliefs. And then the result of this is we've gotten the Oppression Olympics, which is where we sort of compete to see whose ancestors were oppressed the most, because in modern history, most of us live all right in this country. You only have to make 30 grand a year to be a 1 or 2%er on planet Earth, and our income levels over the long term seem to continue going up, at least in the United States and most of the West. James Lindsay has been a great critic of everything that I've mentioned earlier. He says this is happening because the children's education has been stolen from them, and they've already captured the educational institutions. Now in some cases they're trying to steal people's children. It's pretty creepy. For nearly 5 decades, activists have been transforming education into neo-Marxist thought reform, following the work of Brazilian Marxist educator by the name of Paulo Freire. Our kids go to Paulo Freire's school. This is the crazy guy in Brazil that was trying to reinvent the education system as well as Christianity, which a lot of weird people have attempted to do. A lot of dictators like Hitler have attempted to do in the past. Lindsay has been at the forefront of dismantling BS narratives from public institutions and education, claiming critical theory is not in schools. He says, we're still being gaslighted about whether or not critical race theory is even present in American schools. It is. It's taught to everyone, just in a subversive way where that's harder to recognize. All right, so there's a lot more to this post. I suggest you read it. I would really appreciate it if you did. I'd also appreciate it if one of you went and invented some alternative to Wikipedia, because it's also obviously a huge failure, as Elon Musk recognizes. All right, I'll see you on the flip side.